Purpose and Beyond. Welcome back to the channel and to my space. So today, guys, I am back with a long-awaited promised video series. I promised you guys several months ago that I would do a video series about home ownership and the lessons that I learned on my journey to purpose, how God opens up doors and blesses us when we're on our journey to purpose. And these principles, at the end of each video, I will share the lesson that was important to me that I learned in that home buying experience. So I will share those at the end of each video. So without further ado, guys, you know what? I always forget. Guys, I'm going to ask you, I'm trying to increase my subscribers. So I'm going to ask you, if you're watching the video, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. That will help my channel to grow. All right, so let's get into it. So guys, the Lord has blessed me to be able to purchase 4 homes over my life experiences. And so from each one of those experiences, I learned a valuable lesson, principles about serving God and about trusting God and about the ways God can move. Oftentimes, we think we have God pigeonholed into a certain way of being, a certain way of doing, or responding to our needs. I have learned some valuable principles that I did not learn in church with regard to how God will move in your life. And so at the end of each video, I'll share those principles that I learned from each experience. So today, I want to talk about house number 1. And here's a clip of house number 1. This home I purchased in 1996 after going through a divorce. I was newly divorced. I had moved back home with my mother. Also, I had just started teaching a few years before, not even a few years, like a year and a half before I purchased this home, which is remarkable. And so I was coming out of a divorce. I was starting my career in education, and I wanted to purchase a home for my son and I. And one of the things that concerned me was like the cost of homes, being able to afford a home with my starting salary. Back in that day, 1994, teachers were not making money at all. Now I know comparatively, other folks who started many years before that will laugh at that, but when I think now what teachers are starting with, I was making less than half of what teachers are starting with nowadays. But my concern was that I would not be able to purchase a home on the salary that I was making, much less be able to purchase a new home. So in that time, I focused my experience on purchasing maybe HUD homes or, existing homes. And my credit at that time, it was so-so. I had some things on my credit, and I had started building credit again, but it was, it was very much at the beginning of rebuilding my credit. I still had things on my credit report. I even had a debt, which is important for this experience. I had a debt on my credit that I had not paid off, and it wasn't actually my debt. It was a debt that someone else had created. I was being generous, and someone else created the debt and left me with the debt. No worries. So my home journey, I began to search for homes. And here's something interesting. Before I even started looking for a home, guys, that I have dreams. I had a dream about a home, and it was actually about a light fixture in the home, in the kitchen, and I had this dream. And what the Lord said to me was to get up and start looking for a home. Well, in my mind, I start thinking, I can't afford a home. I can't, I'll go and look. I have things on my credit. I was thinking within my own self and my ability what I could do. I wasn't factoring in that the Father was the one telling me to go out and start looking for homes, and that He already had a plan in mind. My focus was on my ability, my financial situation, my bank account, my resources, right? So out of obedience, okay, I have the dream about the light fixture, and then just this spirit of faith that just came over me. He told me to go out and start looking. I did look at HUD homes. I became weary of HUD homes because as a newly single parent, I was like, I don't know what I will be inheriting if I purchase a HUD home. You know, the problems with the HUD home. You know, relatives would tell me about the homeowner's insurance that you could buy, you know, if you had issues with electrical or plumbing or those kinds of things. I was still a little bit leery because, you know, you just don't know the unknown when you're purchasing a HUD home. Purchasing a new home was totally out of my idea or schema at that time. But one day I was just driving around this neighborhood. It was an established neighborhood. And then they were also completing the neighborhood. Even though it was older, a builder had come in, bought up the remaining lots in this established neighborhood, and started building homes. And guys, this is where the story gets really interesting. I had no idea that I could qualify truly for a nice HUD home, let alone a new home built from the ground. But you know what? That's exactly what God did. As I was desiring and praying, I'd seen this home. It was a new construction home. I thought it was just perfect for my son and I. At the time, it was like 1,300 square feet. It was 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage. Just a beautiful starter home, just lovely and perfect for us. And so I was really concerned about the credit issue, you know, the credit. And so, of course, they pull my credit, they run my credit. I had been going through like this credit repair class and trying to get things straightened, but I really didn't have much success with that. And so there was this debt that was remaining on my credit that actually someone else had created. And you know what the Lord spoke to me? He said to me, I want you to forgive that person's debt. Forgive them for that debt. Call them, let them know they don't have to pay you back that money. They don't have to pay for that. Just don't worry about it. And so I did that, and you would not believe. Not only did the Lord just bless me and taking care of that credit situation, but I got pre-approved to purchase that home built from the ground. Guys, I cannot tell you how exciting that was for me. Now, I have to be honest. I was born and raised in the church all my life. You know, it's been, you know, pay tithes, do this, and windows and doors will open, and that it's based on that. But I have to be honest. At that time, I was not paying my tithes. But the word that was spoken to me was about releasing someone else from debt. When I released that person from that debt and forgave them, it was like the Lord is saying, I forgive this debt that you have because you released it from that person. And God blessed me to be able to purchase that new home, and my son and I moved into this lovely home. It was 3 bedrooms, again, 2 bath, 2-car garage. And so there were 3 lessons that I learned from that, from that time. One is about debt forgiveness. Not just debt forgiveness, but it's forgiveness for anything. When we don't forgive other people, God cannot and will not forgive us. And also, we close doors to our own blessings if we walk in unforgiveness. It's interesting that God used home ownership or purchasing a home to teach a lesson about forgiving others and how we close or open doors based on our forgiveness or unforgiveness. The second thing I learned through that experience was that the provision of God is often bigger than our own imagination and what we can perceive for ourselves. My mind was not even on purchasing a new home. I had no idea that I could even look in that vein. But God already had something else in mind for me. He had that such a wonderful blessing in mind and wanted to give me something new, something brand new, and just that I wasn't even dreaming of it. But the provision of God, again, I'll say, is often more much more than we are thinking or perceiving. And so we limit ourselves when we focus on our ability. And that leads me to point number 3 from this experience that I learned was that our shortcomings do not reflect the ability of God. Oftentimes, we put God in a box based on what we can perceive, based on our capabilities. But when God is going to do a move in our life, we have to totally trust in Him and let God be God in our life. And so, guys, that was my experience with home ownership for house number 1 and the lessons and the principles that I learned. So I hope that this has been a blessing to you. I want to remind you again to please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That will help my YouTube channel grow. I'm really wanting to get my channel to grow this year. The end of this year, that's a focus of mine. So I hope you guys will be kind and subscribe to the channel. Also, please share the channel with your friends and your family. Much appreciated. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.